So, um, if you have been wondering how you can bring your idea into existence, you have had thoughts, you were in the shower and you had a thought of a business, you're wondering, how do I price it? How do I sell it? How do I make money out of it? So this is the conversation that we're going to have right now with the Jasiri Talent Investor Program. I know this is a conversation that we've had before the previous year, and that was cohort 3, and they successfully completed. I know the team from Jasiri are going to tell us how the previous cohorts have succeeded and where some of them are. And in this session today, we are welcoming all of you from the different parts of the world you are. In the comment section, feel free to add where you're from, and we'll get straight into the conversation. But before we do that, I would like to mainly thank you all for always tuning in and coming and joining the conversation. If you're joining us from YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, we are very excited to see you here. So today we'll be covering, before I bring in the guests who are going to tell us about everything about the program, we will be, you tell us where you're tuning in from, if you've ever heard about Jasiri, or if you've been part of the Jasiri fellowship, please put it in the comment section so that we know where you're from, and that your comrades are also here with you. So tell us where you are. If you've been part of the Jasiri program, also please let us know. Greetings from Canada, people from Uganda. We love you so much. And thanks for being part of this conversation. Now, as we start, as always, I would like to give a reminder. If you're a business and you're wondering, how do I get, labor? You want to contribute in some way, RDB has the internship program. You can get interns free of charge, and they can learn on the job. You can test them out, and they will be your future hirers. So if you're interested in connecting with the interns here at RDB, reach out or check the RDB website. It will direct you. Okay, so I'm so pleased to bring up the people today that are going to be talking to us, joining in this conversation. It's a full screen, it's a full house. Please allow me to welcome Chusa Patrick. Chusa is the head coach and mentor manager at Jasiri. We also have Bruce. Bruce is the CEO of Kuza Africa. He was part of the Jasiri program and is going to be sharing with us his experience. So you have it straight from the horse's mouth. And we also have Amandine, who's the region recruitment lead, and she'll be telling us what tricks can you use to get through into the program. So welcome everyone to the conversation. Chusa, you want to take the floor?
Yes, thank you very much, Lydia, for that warm welcome. It's always a pleasure to really talk about the Jasiri program, but it's also a really great pleasure to be doing it in partnership with RDP and the Skills Rwanda department. We truly believe this is a program for those who are incredibly excited to create their own businesses. So I think one way to really go about this, I know we cannot interact live with the people who are watching live, but I would like to ask one question for those who can hear us and see if the comments are going to come in. What is the hardest thing about starting a business? What is the hardest thing? Let me see in the comments if you can hear me. Let's take 1 minute to see the answers. What would you say is the hardest thing about starting a business? Checking the comments, make sure they come in. if you're thinking about it. Let me know what you feel is the hardest thing when you're trying to start a business. What is the hardest thing about it? Great. I see people from Nairobi. I see people from Uganda, actually. Greeting in. Bujesera. Thank you, Ejid. We see you. Regis says decision to start is the hardest thing. One person who's a bit anonymous says hardest thing is choosing to take a risk. Munashe, he's saying capital, indeed. Yes, choosing to take a risk, finance investment, similar to capital as well. Hard thing is to get the financial capital. Thank you, everybody. Indeed, yes, one of the aspects that is hard in deciding to actually take a risk of starting a business tends to be the initial capital to invest. And that is really across the world. It's not something that is very specific to Rwanda only. Anywhere in the world, you'll find people who are trying to start businesses but need to find capital, right? And then one other question that I will now ask, and this is my final question of the day, is what is the hardest thing, if you have started a business, what is the hardest thing in maintaining that business, making it successful? So if you have started the business, what becomes the hardest thing in keeping it successful? Looking in the chat as well, these were really great answers that we received on the first question. Right. Andrew is saying the right partnership in maintaining the business. Thank you, Lydia. The hardest thing to maintain the business so that it's successful. Andrew says it's the right partnership. Somebody else says bookkeeping, indeed. Bertrand says consistency, absolutely. Thank you very much. Fidel is also saying the hardest thing to start a business is lack of capital and the decision to start it. Yes. So thank you, everybody. These are really great answers, and we'll keep reading them. The comments are really great. We can see them coming in. So really bring them in. Rwanda is the best. That's a great comment. I think Lydia will like that. She really,
Absolutely.
yeah, she wants investors coming through RDB.
Come in with Rwanda is open.
Right. So I see more people saying consistency. Somebody is saying something interesting. When you have a salary, the hardest thing is to leave the salary. Indeed. That's the hardest thing to actually go start. When you have a salary, it's very hard to actually leave the job and actually go start a business. Somebody says also, Jean-Claude is saying, sticking to the initial idea, because in the middle, you might deviate. Thank you
That's
very much. Those
also
are
true.
really, yeah. So you guys are already on the right track. There's the right employees, consistency, managing human resources. That's also in terms of talent, looking at talent from the USA, somebody who's probably tweeting in from USA, finding the right talent, professionally experienced workers. That's also very key. So thank you very much for all your answers. And that really fits into how we designed Jasiri. And I'm going to take you through a bit of the philosophy of what Jasiri does and how the program is set up so that you can really get an idea of what Jasiri is. And if you're really looking to start your business, this is the right program for you. So I'm going to share my screen. It's coming right up. Great. So the screen, this first slide, we're going to talk about building a startup. Earlier, we had the discussion with Lydia, and she said, when you hear startup, it's something that feels very, very hard and very big, that is very scary, because we hear of these big startups in the US, but at the end of the day, every startup is any business that is starting that wants to grow really fast. So that's really what it is. But at the end of the day, it's still having a good business. So what does it take to actually build a great startup? There's one aspect that really everybody should be mindful of. This is not something that really has to do with the capital, and we'll touch on that, but rather with the customer, right? You're building for the right person. So building a business, really the hardest thing is building the right thing for the right person. And the philosophy around that is that the first part of building a startup is that you discover customers, right? You find out that there are customers out there who have a particular need or a particular problem to actually solve. So at the end of the day, what happens is that you have to test those that customer that you're really trying to support or to solve a problem for. So at the end of the day, when you test it, you will validate that the customers that you discovered really have that need or that problem. And at some point, and this is the comment that Jean-Claude mentioned, is that sometimes, your initial idea might change in the middle. And sometimes it's very hard when you're changing in the middle, that you don't know how to actually, what to do. So the idea is that when your customer is not validated, you go back to the initial customer discovery. And then what you do is you discover the right thing, the right problem, or the right need to solve. So this is the pivoting that we talk about. So in the first place, there's iteration, finding out who the right customer is, and then also finding out what the right product or service is. All right. So this is the iteration phase. And this is a phase that we will talk about that we have in the Jasiri program. So at the end of this phase, once you have validated the customers, then that's when you actually talk of having a business. This is where you create customers. That means you have found the right type of customer for the right type of product that you're building. And then you go into marketing and sales. This is really pushing the product onto the market, making sure the message is reaching people, and also making sure the people are really getting access to your product or service. So that's also elements of distribution, logistics that we mentioned. Somebody mentioned in the comments, and it was really point on. And then at some point, you just build the company, you grow it. So this is really the phase where you're executing. You have customers, they're constantly asking you for your product and your service, and you're constantly just increasing your business, growing your business, maybe going towards another market. So that always is the execution of your business. And then you can bring in new products, try them again, but at the end of the day, you have a solid business. This is where you are maintaining the business. All right. So this is the cycle we go through in the Jasiri program. And this is what we call the talent investor program. The reason it's called the talent investor is that we believe in you as a talent in entrepreneurship. So when we actually go through the recruitment, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're trying to discover is are you really an entrepreneur at heart? Are you able to really create a business? So the program is over 13 months. Give or take, depending on different months that we start the program or different months where certain aspects like big conferences can disrupt the program, and then we actually shift as we go. So it's usually 13 months in length. And this is how it looks like. We go through the first month, which is entrepreneurial essentials. This is, you have been selected, you receive a token for internet, and then you come virtually, and then we start sharing ideas about business, looking at what are you thinking about, what do you know about starting a business, and then we really go through the essentials of starting a good business. And then we go through what we call the residential intensive. Here below, you'll see residential is 3 months. So the first month, we look at team formation. And what that means is that we're looking at you are 50 people in the program already. That's a very key point. And among those 50, you're looking to find a co-founder. So we believe a lot in co-founding businesses. If you look at Google, if you look at what other business, there are many businesses though. Even the Airbnbs, the YouTubes, they all had co-founders, people who take, different aspects of creating the business. So that's why we really believe in that. So team formation comes first. Prospecting comes second. Prospecting means research. That's the validation phase and the discovery phase. And then validation, that means now you're bringing a prototype to market and you're constantly testing. So what we mean is at the end of these 3 months, you will prove to us that you have validated a product or service. And then we will decide if you go into venture creation, which is executing your business as we saw in the model that I showed you earlier. And this is the longest part, which is 9 months. So throughout this program, you receive stipends to help you actually go through all these months without worrying about a salary, without worrying about medical insurance, and then also without worrying about investment capital to invest in your in prototyping, in researching. So that's essentially the program in a nutshell. I think I'll stop here so that we can see if there are any questions coming in, or if Lydia, you wanted to ask a question here from the program overview.
Now, I only had a comment about that last step, that it takes about 9 months. That's almost close to, a human being being created. So,
That's an interesting aspect. I think this is the first time I hear that. But it's true. Yeah,
absolutely.
you're creating a baby. Your business is your baby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I think if it's pretty clear, I can maybe touch on the details on the stipend. Sometimes people might wonder what it
Yes.
looks like. So for the first month, if you're looking at the number one here, this is just a token for internet. We make sure that you're able to access the virtual sessions that we'll have in the first month. These are give or take 4 sessions, 1 session per week. And then this is preparing you to come into the program because you will have to be physically in country. All right. In country, I mean in Kigali, in Rwanda, sorry, in Rwanda. And then you will go to the residential intensive, which is in Bugesera. It's a city near Kigali, about 30 minutes of drive. And it's a very cool place. Bruce will tell you about it. And then through the 3 months that you are in residential, because everything is catered for food, accommodation, transport out of the residence, you will receive $250 per month of stipend. And then when you're doing research, actually receive $3,000 to do the research over the 3 months. All right. And then when you get into venture creation, then you are out there running your business. For the 9 months, you receive $1,000 per month as a stipend, and then you receive $10,200 as an investment in going to market. So this is go to market investment. So that's the nutshell in terms of stipends and the investments that we provide. And these are grant based, these are not equity based. There's another program that takes an equity, but that's another program for another day.
At least you can make money as you're doing your ideas, as you're formulating your idea and moving along. I think the stipend
Exactly.
would be a good start.
Yeah. So one key thing is that when people say it's really hard because you don't have capital or you have a salary, what we tell them is come to the program and focus full time on the business. And then what that means is that you receive a stipend to help you with your needs, and then you receive investment to actually invest in prototyping and distribution, anything that can build the business. You're really open to build it over the night of the 1 year that we are together, so that you can actually we demand full-time commitment. We don't want people who have a job and then they do this part-time.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds good. Um, I think the program is very clear.
Great. So yeah, we're waiting for the questions in the chat. Please make sure to keep them coming, but I'll give the microphone to Lydia.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Patrick. I think this goes into details of explaining what you're going to go through as you're, bringing your idea to the world, and making sure that, you bring the best of the ideas available. Patrick, if you're done, we would like to, are you done? We good for now?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, I'm good
good
for
one.
now.
Please feel free to raise your questions to Patrick, and he's here to respond to all the questions. Now, I'd like to hear from Bruce. Bruce, you are the CEO of Kuza Africa, and you've been part of the Jasiri program. If you could, start, introduce yourself, tell us about everything that you're doing. Recently, I came to learn that entrepreneurs don't have one baby. They have like multiple tons of them. So we could be here with Kuza Africa and something is still cooking somewhere. So please let us know, let us in on what you're doing and give us an experience of the program. And we would also like to hear the tips that you used that helped you succeed in this program.
Thank you, Lydia, and thank you, Chusa, for having me today. It's such a pleasure to represent Kuza and tell the story of how we got to be alive. Yes, indeed, Jasiri does prioritize sourcing the right talent, and I think that's one of the beautiful things that you gain by being part of a community that is driven towards a purpose and driven towards a challenge that we're trying to explore and change and shift for the better. So yes, I am the CEO of Kuza Africa, but I'm also engaged otherwise in helping Rwanda's international trade relationships with Finland, Turkey, and Austria, and recently got elected the curator of the Kigali Global Shapers community, which is the World Economics Forum's branch here in Rwanda. And I am just an example of what Jasiri's talent looks like, and so does my team, which I'm so grateful to be a part of. And let me just maybe start off by telling you a little bit about Kuza Africa and what we aim to do with our purpose. So let me just bring the screen here. Uh, so Kuza, our main mission really is to make, create, and innovate. Make, create, and innovate, or rather in short, MCI, is really the theme of exploration that Jasiri gifts us and seeds in us by creating companies that are market creating innovations, meaning they open broader gateways for development of a country. And so by exploring this theme is really how Kuza came to explore the opportunity in the textile industry here in Rwanda. So the problem we're solving is the fragmentation in the textile industry here, where you find that out of 13 tailors, only one is working in a formal process. And that just means that the effect of that means that only if one out of 13 is creating purposeful work, where the ultimate effect is lower production volume and lower quality volume. Now, where you find that designers are only creating 15 pieces instead of 1,000 pieces a year. And overall, it represents a terrible image for the economy because as Rwanda in the textile industry, we're not competing on the global level. And even when you put it in the framework of exploring East Africa is not competing on the same level because of that fragmentation. Where people are working in isolated methods, they have low access to resources, and they're not equally distributing so that we can all grow together. So, what we came about is creating a hub, a center for creativity, innovation, and collaboration. And since we chose the textile industry, here in Rwanda, we are a one stop center for design and garment production. Basically, what that means is that we offer the designer and tailor the entire process from ideation of design, where they use technical and up-to-date software tools to design and create products. And we just take them through having availability of raw materials to produce, as well as the labor and machinery to produce. And then once that product is done, it goes directly to the market, where we're now able to gauge insights from the customer and say, we need to redefine this product, or in other words, in Jasiri's words, and pivot the product and make it fitting to the right customer and to the right target audience that we intend. So really, this is just a pictorial of what our industrial process looks like, where you come from design to accessing the raw material to finishing of products, and then directly to the customer. This is our current Kuza Kigali hub. We are located right underneath RDB, so we're neighbors on KG1 Street. And this is our current blueprint, where we have 3 factories that are operating. And inside the house, you can see design rooms where ideas can be researched and explored, and then exported into the factory for final creation. And we have a community aspect to the way we work, where we want to now bring that isolation to a close and bring everyone all together. Our target customers are tailors and designers mainly. And I kid you not, these are real pictures. This is Lillian, one of our tailors. And this is Charms Bailey, one of our designers in the Kigali hub. And what makes us special as Kuza is that even though we chose the textile industry to participate in, none of us are designers. We have Lorraine, who's an engineer, Esther, who's an environmentalist, and myself, I have a background in business psychology, and Grace is a cosmetics manufacturer from Kenya. So I'm the only Rwandan in my team and the only guy. And I think that's the beautiful fruits of being part of Jasiri, because it brings people who would otherwise not meet and brings them together to create meaningful change in our world. And so I think I'll close my presentation right here and just invite you all to come book a tour, visit the hub, and participate in our change and in our growth and in our endeavor to really scale the manufacturing of textiles here in Rwanda, which is an industry of investment that the country has on. When we look at the investment in technical and vocational education training that has undertaken our educational development in this country. And when we look at policies such as the ban on the import of secondhand clothes that was taken by the government, the Rwandan government, but also the East African community as well, it shows the wider picture that Africa is trying to produce more locally and to really bring to capacity the natural resources that we have, the youthful workforce that we have. And I believe this is why we're having this conversation, to truly to engage and activate the minds of people who are listening, to take on that risk and to take on that challenge of saying, I can be a change shifter, and I can participate in this development that we are undertaking as a nation. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, I am always available. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, Bruce. And we'll get back to the questions. Now, we do have a few questions here. I think this will go to Chusa. So the question is from Manzi John, and he wants to know who is eligible for this training and what are the conditions.
Nice. I think that's actually a good question for Mandine. I don't know if you're able to talk to us, Mandine. Is it working? I think it's okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
hope
great.
everyone can hear me. Hi, everyone. My name is Amandine. I am a regional lead here at Jasiri. It's about the Talent Investor Program, and also just speak about who it is we're looking for. So I think, Lydia, I can answer this question by sharing my screen and going through the ideal candidate profile. So I'll just go ahead and do that. If you could just grant me access.
Yes.
Can everyone hear?
Please go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I am sharing my screen right now, and I will be walking you through the recruitment and selection process. So I think the question that was asked a few seconds ago was just around who is the fit for the program, what we're looking for, and what does it take to succeed, right? And so what you're looking at on your screen is the ideal candidate profile. I will walk you through this. So as I'm going through this, if you fit this description, if you fit 50% of this description, even, you don't have to fit all of it, but if you fit most of it, then this program is for you. So as far as who we're looking for people who are driven and committed to building innovative high growth ventures from scratch. So Chusa spoke about this in the beginning. We're looking to build really big businesses here at Jasiri. That's the business that we're in. So if you are an entrepreneur, so you've started a business before, and you're currently running a business and you're looking to build a new business within the Jasiri program, this is for you. If you are an entrepreneur at heart as well, so you've never started a business, but you've always dreamt about starting a business. Lydia was speaking about people who, think about building their businesses, whether when they're going about their daily activities. So if this is something that you've thought about before, if this is something that you feel you're passionate about, then we are looking for you. We're also looking for people who have a demonstrable history of achievement and entrepreneurial action. And what we mean by this is that you are someone who is able to identify opportunities and gaps in a sector of interest. So let's say you are coming from the health sector, that's just an example. You're able to identify gaps and opportunities within this industry or whatever industry you have expertise in. We're looking for people who have a history of achievement and evidence of impact wherever they have focused their attention. You need to have significant insights and expertise in a field or industry. We're looking for team players. We spoke about finding a co-founder within the program. We do not invest in solo founders, we invest in teams. So you need to be a team player, you need to be able to get along with other people, and because throughout this process, you will go through that journey of identifying who your co-founder will be. So we're looking for team players, and we're looking for people who are excited to meet equally ambitious co-founders. And I'm not sure if Bruce spoke about that process because I did drop off at some point, but he would be able to share about what that journey looked like for him as far as finding his co-founders. As far as the countries we are in, I know we have a lot of people from Rwanda on this call. I saw people dialing in from Ethiopia as well. I'm not sure if I saw any Kenyans, but the program is currently present in all of these three countries, only these three countries. So if you are from Kenya, if you're from Ethiopia, or if you're from Rwanda, then you would be able to apply. Unfortunately, if you're not from any of these three countries, then you wouldn't be able to move forward. But however, we do hope to expand and move into more countries. So if you are interested in joining Jasiri in the future and you're not from Kenya, Ethiopia, or Rwanda, then please do follow us on our social media platforms, Jasiri for Africa, for any updates on where we move to next. It might just be your country. The last and final thing that I wanted to speak about is the full-time element, and this is extremely important. The program is full-time. You are required to commit to 13 months full-time, not part-time. So you will be required to commit that full-time to participate in the Talent Investor Program, including the 3-month residential intensive that you discussed. So yeah, that is the ideal candidate profile. Just in summary, only currently open to citizens of Rwanda, Kenya, and Ethiopia, as I just mentioned. Candidates must be willing to travel to Rwanda for the mandatory residential intensive part of the program. That is mandatory as it says. Completing all stages of the selection process will require commitment, effort, and time. So what does that mean? Once you submit an application, that's not the end of the journey for you. There are selection stages that you will have to go through. There are assessments that you will have to complete. Obviously, all of these assessments, you can only move forward if you do really well at each stage of the selection process. And we always communicate to the candidates if they're not able to move forward. Jasiri has specifically designed the selection process to be a valuable learning and self-discovery experience for all of our candidates. There's a lot that you will learn about yourself during this process. You ask a lot of questions, you fill out a couple of forms. So it is a self-discovery experience for anyone who goes through this process, whether or not you are selected. And then what we have here is the selection steps and time. So those of you who have been following us for a while now, or have even went ahead to apply for the program, you know that we started recruiting for cohort 4 about January 13th. That was when we opened applications, and we will continue to recruit until next week, actually. April 5th is the deadline. If you're interested in applying, I highly encourage you to do so before the deadline, because come April 5th, we will no longer be accepting applications for cohort 4. So again, if you're interested, the first step is to go ahead and submit an application, jasiri.org/application. Lydia is going to be sharing that link across your screens. So feel free to go ahead and take a screenshot. So yeah, the first step would be to go ahead and submit an application on the link, on the application link. Please make sure you have the right link, and maybe I can share with you what it looks like in a few minutes. So once we have received your application, you will receive an email from us just acknowledging that we've received your application and it's currently under the review stage. Once we have moved you forward to the assessments, so everyone that submits an application is going to be moved to this first stage of the assessments, right? People are only rejected at this stage if they're not from any of these three countries, Rwanda, Kenya, and Ethiopia. But if you are, then you would move forward to the entrepreneurial intention and value creation assessment. So that's quite a mouthful, but basically, as it says in its name, we are, understanding your intentions for applying for the program. So we'll ask you a couple of questions just around your aspirations, whether you have always thought about it becoming an entrepreneur, the reasons behind that. All of this is a survey, so it's not something that you type out. It's a survey that you select what's most like you or what's least like you. At the end of that survey, we will ask you about a problem that you have identified, whether that was at school, whether this was at your work, whether this was at your communities. That's up to you to decide. So a problem that you identified, the solution that you came up with, that you came up with exactly, and then the impact that solution has created. And so for these assessments, I highly encourage you to be as detailed as possible. We often find that the mistake candidates make when they're going through the assessments is being very brief and vague. So please make sure to take your time. Please make sure to give examples that speak to who you are as an entrepreneur, and just give examples that, will convince the Jasiri team, the people who are on the other side reviewing your assessments, why you deserve a spot within the program. So if you are successful at this stage, because again, you can only move forward if you successfully complete the previous stage, you would then move into the innovation scenario assessment. Just to summarize this quickly, the innovation scenario assessment is basically testing your innovation skills, your problem solving skills. So we will give you a challenge outside of an industry in which you have expertise in. So let's say Chusa is coming from a marketing background. We will give him an industry in health. And the reason we test that, and the reason we give our candidates industries outside of those that they're comfortable in, is just to kind of test the way that they think, to see if they're problem solvers, because we believe that, a really good entrepreneur will be able to identify problems, challenges, and solutions in other industries outside of their own. So you will then present a problem within that industry, the business in which you would like to create. All of this is hypothetical. Do not worry. These are not real businesses. This is just an assessment. And then on the Jasiri side, we will review this. We will also ask you to record yourself. So about a 2 to 3 minute YouTube pitch where you're pitching your business idea back to the Jasiri team. And remember, the business idea you're pitching is in an industry that you are not comfortable in. So what does this tell you? You will have to do a lot of research on that industry. You're free to use Google. You're free to do your research. You're free to read articles online and, use that to, support your argument, support the business you would like to create. Once we have received this assessment from your end, we will review this as a team. If you successfully pass this round, you will then move into the next stage, which is a psychometrics. For those of you who have heard about psychometrics, please go ahead and share that in the chat. So for this specifically, we are looking out for verbal and numerical reasoning. We do give you practice tests when you move to this stage. So you will receive an email from us congratulating you on making it to that stage. And we will give you some practice psychometrics tests that you can take so that you are familiar with what it is we're asking at this stage. And then once you're ready, you would then go ahead and start the psychometrics. Again, it's verbal and numerical reasoning, and I highly encourage you to look into that before, if you're interested in applying for the program. If you successfully pass psychometrics, you would then move into the final stage, which is the selection conference round. So the selection conference is a 2-day event that happens over Zoom. It's usually from 9 to 5, so it is not the whole day, do not worry. And you are all joining us virtually. Only successful candidates that have passed the previous stages will make it to the selection conference. In the past, I can share that we've had roughly 100 to 150 people make it to the stage, all from Rwanda, Kenya, and Ethiopia. And so during the selection conference, we group everyone into teams. It's all virtual, so we will put you in breakout rooms We will provide you with a problem to work on as a team, because remember that team element is important for our program. With your team, you will work on this problem, come up with a solution, and then present it back to the assessors, to the Jasiri team. But we also have some of our partners and some of people who assess the applications join, just to give feedback for each of the different teams. So that is the selection process. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that have come about. So I will
Yes,
just pause
and
here.
we would like to take those questions. Very interesting questions, Amandine, if you don't mind.
Yes, absolutely. I'm happy to answer the question.
So I guess when we talked about the question from John, I think your question was responded to: who is eligible for the training? And then we have a question from Keza, and Keza would like to know about the residential phase of the program, if participants get in the program with a business idea of their own, or if you get co-founders. Bruce, as someone who went through this, tell us your experience.
Yes. So this finding a co-founder is both the most challenging and rewarding uh, encounter I think that you can have within the program. Even just as hiring an employee, we really have to be certain about the people we are choosing to execute these visions and these missions with. And so it's not the journey is not easy, and nothing of worthwhile is easy. So it's a worthwhile encouragement for everyone to go in with an open heart of really, for the lack of better words, exploiting the talent that is around us, and really learning what are the working mechanisms of each candidate that could be a potential co-founder. How does that integrate within your own working skills and the way you interpret your way of executing your vision or solving the problem? So I think about the finding founders, it's challenging, but I think maybe I've been lucky, but I've also been instructed by the different information or data that Jasiri gives us about each other, because they've done the rigorous assessments, and therefore we're also able to know I would work better with this person. And I don't think it's you pick a business partner just up in the air, but it's actually a calculated strategy to achieve. So that is part of what goes on in the founder, and we really just have to be active in getting that right combination.
Fantastic. Patrick, do you have anything you would like to add on to in response to Keza's question?
Yeah, sure thing. So one aspect of the program is that, yes, people come into the program with their own ideas, but I would say the philosophy of the program is that you can go in any direction that actually makes more sense. So what it means is that in the first month, we really encourage you to rethink maybe what you could do. Maybe you could be more ambitious. Maybe you could look into different industries depending on the interest. So we really, one thing that we didn't mention is that we run, not run, but we strongly encourage people to look into what we call market creating innovations. And Bruce kind of mentioned it with his own tagline of make, create, innovate. But the idea is that a market creating innovation really has really impact on a lot of people. So it's a guiding philosophy. And we don't necessarily tell people it has to be a market creating innovation right off the bat. But what we tell you is that in the scope of the things you want to build, how do you see this growing into a very impactful business in the future? So that's really what we try to do in our program. And I invite people who are listening to us right now to Google market creating innovations, get a sense of what it is. When we talk about that, just to give a quick example, if you look at mobile money, if you look at the way mobile money has changed the way people interact. I barely carry cash anymore. I never thought that day would ever happen, but we all barely carry cash. We all use, we pull the money from our account. We use it on devices of the merchants. We use it on their mobile monies as well. So there's a whole shift of different markets that are actually changed by this innovation. But the idea of a market creating innovation is also something that can, change the fundamentals of a value chain. So really, it's very key that to know that when you come into the program, we don't expect you to come with the business idea. We actually expect you to come with your talent, which is why the talent investor is named that way. We really want you to come as an entrepreneur exploring all the possible areas that you can go into. We will not ask you to bring your business idea. And luckily, you will find a co-founder who really has almost the same type of passion for the industry you want to go into. And then we connect you both. You will get to know each other over the 3 months. And the idea is that once you get to know each other, you really work well together and you're passionate about the same thing. So that's essentially how the program works.
Thank you so much, Patrick and Bruce, for those wonderful insights in response to the question that was asked. And we did talk about the duration of the program. I hope that girls, Gilbert, you got to know how long it lasts. There's the 9 months, there's the 1 month. So it's a whole process until you're ready to get out there. And we do have a question specifically for you, Bruce, the CEO of Kuza. What does shipping logistics mean to your company being in a landlocked country? And the details continue. So over to you, Bruce.
Yes, thank you, Fred, for this question. So I think to answer this question, the two main core activities in our business model that relate to this question. One is production. So production, we really need the raw materials to actually make the finished products. And raw material on the continent, or like semi-finished raw material, is really almost inaccessible because there are not a lot of manufacturers switching from the natural element to a product that can be developed into something else. So in terms of logistics, what's hard is that kind of, I would say, market integration, where we are importing in products from across the continent, because everything we do is from Africa, through Africa, and obviously abroad as well. So that's the challenge, accessibility of raw material. But actually, that is a challenge that we hope to grow to solve. So when we're looking at what a market creating innovation for Kuza means, is that after we tackle the finished production ecosystem, we want to grow deeper into the chain, meaning we want to grow to also look at, can we play a part in availing raw material that can then be used? And once we do that, is how we hope to now open the gateway into other markets. So logistics and being a landlocked country, accessing raw materials is what has been hard. I think with Rwandair and its strategy to really gauge visibility across the world has now facilitated exports of finished products. And that is something that we're also looking to open up to designers here in Rwanda and say, can their products be delivered to the international market? So those are the challenges that we faced as of now. So thank you for the question. I hope I've answered accurately.
Super. I hope, Fred, you got your answer. But I know that we're also pushing the agenda of the Africa and Continental AFCTA. So I hope that eases up things. It's one of those abbreviations that
acronyms, I know.
It's just, you might as well just say the whole thing. Yeah, but we do have, I don't know if Amandine, you did touch on the people in the diaspora. Does this program concern them, given that it also has the aspect of, being being able to travel to Rwanda for some particular time. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, Frank, for that question. Yeah, my answer to that is absolutely. We do encourage diaspora to apply for the program. So whether you are diaspora living in different countries across the globe, and you're looking to move back to either Rwanda, Kenya, or Ethiopia to start your own business, then absolutely this is something that we are, interested in doing with you. This is you are, the people that we're looking for as well. I will say though that for the diaspora, you are applying for the program to start businesses in Rwanda or Kenya or Ethiopia. So if you are Rwandan, then you're applying for the program to start a business in Rwanda, not outside of the continent, right? So we do want to encourage homegrown businesses, made in Rwanda, hashtag made in Rwanda. So that's, we're looking to do that. So yeah, Frank, that's a very short response to your question. If you're interested in applying, or if you know any diaspora who are interested in applying for the Talent Investor, then please go ahead and share the application link with them and encourage them to apply. We are running out of time though, just in terms of the deadline. So please do so before April 5th. Yeah.
Wonderful. And Amandine, if you can respond to this person, if you fail to make a co-founder during the residential program, what happens? Yet I think you need in one.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen. I think I've actually interacted with Stephen before with the program. So welcome back, Stephen. Pleasure to see you here with us today. So I think this is more of a question for Chusa and Bruce actually, but I'm happy to give my insights and then hand it over to Chusa as well. So finding a co-founder is an integral part of the program. As I mentioned before, we do not invest in solo founders, we invest in teams. Has this happened in the past? Yes, it has, maybe once or twice. Do we encourage it? No. So we do want people to identify co-founders, to start businesses with a co-founder that they find within the Jasiri program. And so if you're not able to do that, then that would create some issues with you moving stage. I'm not sure if Jusa touched on this earlier, but there are exit points throughout the program. And these can be, a fellow who has been selected choosing to say, you know what, at this moment in time, this program is not for me, but maybe I can join, a year from now, 2 years from now, or maybe I don't want to join in the future at all. We really recognize that this program is not for everyone, and we completely empathize and understand that. Or it could be just Jasiri saying, you know what, we don't believe that you are ready at this moment, and we think that you should take some time to, think about whether this is something that you want to do. And if that is the case, then you can join later on. And we do provide a shortened application process for fellows who make it into the program and aren't able to proceed. So, when they apply again, it won't be as intensive. And we do provide exit packages as well. But yeah, if you're not able to identify a co-founder within the residential program, then it would create some issues with you moving forward. But again,
Wonderful.
Thank
you.
And speak about that some more. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Amandine, for the response to the questions. And I know there are so many questions that keep coming. Please feel free to add them in the comment section. The team, even when we're done with this session, the team will be able to go back, get in touch with you, see your comment or question, get back in touch with you, and then they're able to respond to the questions. So feel free to keep the questions coming. And I will pause as we're winding down. I'll pose this question to Chusa. Someone asked if you have any plans of including Eritrea in the near future.
That's a great question. East Africa is the
Okay, kudos.
Sorry, I have two little boys here that are very energetic, but okay. Sorry about that. But I was going to say East Africa is the target. So we're expanding. We just recently added Ethiopia, and we usually expand as we see opportunities where it's this kind of program would be really fitting. So we always constantly expanding. We are really looking forward to connecting all East African countries and East African citizens through the Jasiri program. But I wouldn't give a timeline on that, but definitely East Africa as a whole is a target. Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. And we have
Can I
one more.
quickly add a bit of an addition to Amandine's answer as well, with regards to not finding a co-founder? We are very, as it's been reiterated, we really believe in teams, but also if you do end up being a solo, it's essentially it would really have to be extremely convincing. We really have to understand that you're building a team, that you have a team that will help you do that. Otherwise, it really constitutes an exit. But there will be, of course, any program cohort that we go through is essentially taken on a case by case basis. We still really believe in, at the end of the day, we want businesses that are going to be successful. If you can prove that to us, with our co-founder, something can go forward, then that would really be the bar would be much higher for you to prove. So that would be the case in point. Thank you.
All right, we have one. Let's take
Kamani.
this one
Yes.
last question as we sum up our conversation for today. It's something that someone read, that you're supposed to be having a running business, not only an idea. What do you say about it? Sounds like an accusation. Patrick.
Oh, that's not true. I think this is another program that they're looking at, which is the Growth Accelerator program. It's also on our website. If you already have a business that is running, then that one is more fitting for you. But specifically for the talent investor, we don't require you to be running a business.
Okay, sounds good. I hope you got your. So we'll take one last question, and I think this was already said. On average, how long does the selection process last? Amandine?
Yeah, I was actually going to highlight that one because I'm not sure if I touched on this earlier, but this is a tough question to answer because it varies, right? It's been different for previous cohorts and it will be different for this one as well. So as I mentioned before, we started recruiting January 13th. We're going to close applications April 5th. We are hoping to make decisions by the end of April. Sorry, that's wrong. We are hoping to make decisions in the middle of May. So the selection conference will be happening sometime in May. We will communicate the dates for those of the candidates that make it to that stage of the selection process. And then the program is scheduled to start in June. So from January up to June, that's about 6 months. I know that is a long time, and we are refining our process. We are constantly asking for feedback from our candidates. There are reasons, of course, as to why it takes this long. We need to wait to receive all applications from all 3 countries before we can make decisions on, who is going to go ahead to start the program. We have 2 cohorts every year. So even after cohort 4, if you do not make it for this cohort, you can always apply for cohort 5, which will be launching sometime in July. So for those of you who have already applied, whether you applied in January or you will be applying today, we will be making decisions on who will be making it to the selection conference by May, and then the program will start in June. So I hope that's clear. But if you have any questions on this, then you can always reach out to me on email.
Super. Thank you so much, Amandine, and thank you so much to our audience. I'm going to give you guys a quarter a second to just tell us your last words, last remarks, anything that you would like our audience to be their takeaway. So this, first of all, this is a great program. I would like to encourage everyone, if you have your idea, if you have something you want to bring to the market, please attend the Jasiri Talent Investor Program. It's a great program for sure. And I want to hear from each of our guest speakers today. What will be your final words as we conclude this session? Bruce?
Yes, thank you, Lydia, and thank you, Chusa and Amandine, for participating in this conversation with me. My last word here is there's no time to wait. The continent cannot wait. The future cannot wait. There has to be intentionality in every action that we do. And we do not have time for fear or for doubts of how is it going to happen? How is it going to go? It's just really about taking the initiative and saying, I want to be a part of this revolution that is going on. And so that is my last encouraging word. And maybe to just paint a picture of intentionality, kuza means to grow or to nurture in both Kiswahili and Kinyarwanda. And what that really means is that we have a young economy and a young workforce. And so it takes time to nurture that workforce and that economy so that it can actually build the capacity to compete with others. So I welcome you all to join the Jasiri Talent Investor Program and join all the ideas and inventions that have come out of it. Thank you for having me, and it has been a pleasure.
Thanks, Bruce. Amandine, your final word as we wrap up this session.
It's a lot of pressure coming after Bruce. Apply if you are interested. Apply if this is something that you are really interested in. If entrepreneurship is something that you are passionate about, then please go ahead and submit your application. We are only taking 50 for cohort 4 and 50 for cohort 5, which we will, as I mentioned, launch later on. So it is competitive, it is rigorous. So I just want to encourage anyone that's going to apply to give it their all, give it all the time that it deserves, give it all the effort that it deserves. And if for whatever reason you do not make it, as Aaliyah once said, dust yourself off and try again, right? Persistence is key. We can't take everyone. We would love to take everyone, but unfortunately we can only accommodate 50. So please give it your all. And good luck to everyone who decides to go ahead and submit an application. And thank you so much as well for joining us today.
Wonderful. Thanks, Amandine. Chusa, over to you. Please give us your final word to this wonderful audience.
Thank you, Lydia. It was really wonderful being with the team today. Thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you very much, Amandine. So Jasiri, actually, it's a Swahili word that means brave. And we really invite the brave people in this room today to actually join the program, be entrepreneurs. It's not easy, but what we do is that we de-risk many aspects of the process of creating a really good business. So I will invite everybody to apply and reach out to us if they have any questions. So thank you very much, Lydia, and the RDB team and Skills Rwanda team for this opportunity.
Absolutely. It was lovely hosting all of you, Bruce, Amandine, and Chusa. This has been a great conversation and our great audience. You can always find these conversations on our social media platforms, RDB, LinkedIn, Skills Rwanda, Facebook, and YouTube. These conversations stay on there. And Chusa and Amandine, questions are still coming in, so I would like to encourage you to go in onto the link and try to respond to these wonderful listeners of ours today. And I've also popped up Amandine's email address in case you want to reach out to her directly and you want to you have specific questions that you feel like we not answered in this conversation. Please reach out to her. That's her email on the screen. And as always, my name is Lydia. It's been wonderful having you today, and I look forward to the next session. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful, wonderful audience. We see you next time when we have another conversation. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful one. Bye.